Welcome to Caregiver SOS On Air, presented by the WellMed Charitable Foundation, with nationally known gerontologist Carol Zernial and award-winning veteran broadcaster Ron Aaron. This program provides health, wellness, and other information for caregivers who are vital to the health and well-being of so many people across our country. And now, here are your hosts, Ron Aaron and Carol Zernial.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Caregiver SOS On Air, our podcast available wherever you get the podcast that you listen to. And we are also on the radio in a number of markets in Texas and Florida as well. Our co-host, Carol Zernial, is with us. She's got a master's degree in social gerontology, more than 30 years experience in the field. She's co-chair of the Raise Family Caregiving Advisory Council and executive director of the WellMed Charitable Foundation. And Carol, it is great to see you.
It is great to see you today. You know, no one else can see us.
That's right. The only ones who see us are the ones who are recording with us, folks who listen to us on the podcast or radio. As yet, we are not delivering video, but that's a promise that we've made. At some point, we may be able to deliver that. Our guest today, and let me take a moment and introduce Jennifer Henius. She is a licensed clinical social worker. She's also a traumatic brain injury survivor, a long-distance caregiver, and nationally known advocate for family caregivers. She has over 20 years' experience in healthcare, including a decade on the national leadership team for the Department of Veterans Affairs Caregiving Support Program. Jennifer earned her master's in social work from the University of South Florida in the Tampa Bay area, and we're delighted, Jennifer, to have you with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. It's an honor to be with you today.
Now, I was interested in your bio because Carol, as well as you, have been long-distance caregivers. Tell us about your situation.
Sure. So I'm a caregiver for my father, right, who lives in another state and has been experiencing advancing dementia. And his wife has advancing Parkinson's disease. So they're fortunate that she has some children in the local area, but I am a long distance caregiver to my father. And so that's my role there. But I'm also primary caregiver, have been this past year, to my mom, who was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer this past year while I was sort of a care recipient going through my TBI.
And what has that been like?
It's been challenging. I was hit from the back and shoved into a different car in front of me at a stop sign. And I didn't realize it, but a few days later, I went immediately to the hospital. I was taken by ambulance, but a few days later, I started to have a lot of neurological symptoms, and I went back to the urgent care, who said, nope, you really need to go back to the ER and have a few more tests done. And then it turned out that on top of some of the physical injuries I was experiencing, that I had a traumatic brain injury and also suffered a mild cognitive impairment from this car accident. And about a year and a half later now, I'm still kind of dealing with that. And in the middle of that, caregiving continues. So, yep.
Wow, that's a lot to have to go through all at the same time. Are you finding for yourself, that some of that, like we know with a stroke, eventually things come back, and with TBI, things come back, not like Alzheimer's where they go and they stay gone, but what's your experience with that?
Yeah, well, it's been really difficult because I don't feel like I got the best medical treatment because I really didn't have my healthcare insurance accessible to me since this was all through an auto accident. And so although I did get some treatment, in many ways, my treatment is just beginning now that I'm at the end of my case, my motor vehicle case, and my health insurance can kick in. So I'm now being followed by my local university concussion clinic, which is, really helpful. And I'm involved in like mental health therapy for the post-traumatic stress that I've experienced from this, and going into speech therapy. It was quite a lot. I mean, I was out for at least 6 months or so from work. And when I returned to the office, I didn't even recognize my colleagues, like their faces, and I couldn't recall their names. And I had worked for them for multiple years now. So it's been a really challenging experience to go through that. And when I was going through that, my mom was diagnosed with this rare blood cancer disorder, and my husband was taking care of me, but we had to both take care of my mom, get her back and forth to Moffitt Cancer Center here in Tampa to be sure that she had access to all the things that she needed. And when I was talking with HR about, hey, I'm out of work, but I might come back, I might need some caregiver support, which at my place of work, they have a very good caregiver leave benefit policy, which is really unusual. But I had already been on this other benefits since I was out of work due to the accident. And somebody said to me, well, how can you manage that? You might want to wait applying for this caregiver benefit while you're still sick and taking care of yourself. And I just said, well, wow, this is what caregivers are dealing with, right? They're trying to care for their own health and well-being. And many times, illnesses happen, injuries happen, but they still have these other responsibilities on their plate. And so this caregiving is not linear, right? And we're not stovepiped in how we handle the things that come at us in life. And sometimes this is just your circumstances, that you have to kind of navigate through. So yes, you can be ill, have an injury, have a TBI, and be out of work while trying to reintegrate and navigate and still be trying to support your loved ones who are also going through, some medical issues that you need to attend to.
What's been the resolution? What's your status now?
Oh, I'm back in the office now, and I'm still in therapies now, and it still continues. If I'm experiencing like a lot of stress, I can feel, that I'm not like my cognition isn't exactly as sharp as it normally would be. And so we keep up with cognitive testing, and like I mentioned, still being followed by the concussion clinic and whatnot. So I'm still very much dealing with this. Yeah.
We're going to come
Well,
right back to you. Hold that thought. I want to let folks know who may have just joined us. You're listening to the award-winning Caregiver SOS on Air, our podcast available wherever you get your podcast. Our special guest today, Jennifer Henius. She's a licensed clinical social worker. We're talking about redefining caregiver well-being, a whole health approach to the future of care. She's also the creator of a yoga for caregivers, great idea, and a founder of Caregiver Whole Health. Carol Zernial, our co-host, is with us. And Carol, you wanted to jump in?
Well, I just have one other question. I know we want to talk about all the wonderful resources you have for the caregivers, but you said something that I had not heard before, that with your accident, you didn't get to use your regular health insurance. You had to go through the auto insurance, which didn't give you the same level of access.
Yeah, it really didn't. A lot of folks they don't accept auto insurance. And I happen to have a AAA auto insurance at the time of this accident, which is really widely recognized right across the country. But there aren't a lot of medical providers that want to accept car insurance, and there are even less so specialists like neurologists, mental health professionals. And I really had to put together my own team of interdisciplinary, professionals to help get me through this. Because when you experience something like this, it's not just about, going to physical therapy. It was about how can I change my nutrition for my brain health and meet with a registered dietitian? How can I meet with a mental health therapist who's going to be willing to work with me without getting paid until my lawsuit gets settled? So that I can make sure that I'm addressing the anxiety that I have, the insomnia that I have, from the car accident and everything. I'm still not driving just yet. It's about a year and a half later. My car was totaled, but I'm very hypervigilant even as a passenger in the car. So it's been really challenging. But yeah, I didn't realize the barriers to care either that I would be faced with from a car accident, and just having to navigate that. And thank goodness for my husband having my own, support system. And he became the caregiver to help navigate through that maze of setting up my appointments and finding out, who would be willing to work with me or either take that insurance or defer payment, until my lawsuit could be settled.
Oh, wow. That's quite a story just for you.
Yeah.
But we're glad that you're back at the office and that you feel like you're on a better path now.
Thanks so much.
Now, I would think creating yoga for caregivers is a natural result of what you were going through, trying to improve your own well-being, your own approach to the world.
Well, that really came out of a place of burnout, to be honest with you, a burnout in the healthcare system. I had been working for the VA almost 20 years when I realized that I just needed to take a break. And when you're a clinician in an administrative role, you don't really have access to sabbaticals. And I took a break and I completed a yoga instructor, yoga teacher training, if you will. And at the end of that, I really changed my life around. I wasn't expecting it to be as transformative as an experience as it was, but going through it, I recognized how caregivers could really benefit from yoga and meditation, mindful movement. And just as I was finishing up my yoga teacher training, we were hit with the pandemic. And so I started Yoga for Caregivers really as a community care grassroots effort. We had many yoga teachers volunteer to support a community that we were building. Most all of them have been family caregivers themselves or were actively caregiving for someone and knew how beneficial yoga could be for this community. And so that really started out of the pandemic, just trying to want to offer a new resource, a holistic wellness resource during a time of, unprecedented crisis and mental health concerns, especially for caregivers who are already so isolated. And we were really fortunate to partner with a lot of nonprofits at the time who were working to try to find innovative ways to support caregiver well-being during that time. And since then, we have evolved into a social impact business known as Caregiver Whole Health, where we continue to offer yoga for caregivers. And we have a pretty robust YouTube channel where we offer a lot of free, accessible yoga classes and mindfulness classes, meditation that's specifically tailored for family caregivers and provided by people who understand the challenges that caregivers face. So it's pretty unique. But then Caregiver Whole Health provides much broader services by offering caregiver whole health and wellness coaching to caregivers, offering a digital wellness platform so that caregivers can offer this yoga meditation 24/7 on demand anytime that's more convenient for them, because we know that live classes are hard for caregivers to travel to. Sometimes classes are 60 minutes or more, and we offer 5 minutes of just a recentering to offer caregivers some calm in the midst of their chaotic lifestyle. And caregivers have really responded well to that.
Hold that thought. We're going to come right back to you. For those who've just joined us, you're listening to the award-winning Caregiver SOS on Air. I'm Ron Aaron, along with our special guest, Jennifer Henius, a licensed clinical social worker, and we're talking about really an essential element of caregiving, and that's care for the caregiver. Carol Zernial, our co-host, is with us as well. You're listening to the award-winning Caregiver SOS on Air.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Caregiver SOS on Air. We're delighted to have you with us. We come to you every week with a discussion of an issue, a problem, some accomplishments involved in caregiving with more than 60 million caregivers across this country, but most thinking they are the Lone Rangers. We try to bring you the latest information and help that can make that job easier and more manageable. Caregiver SOS on Air takes a look at trends across this country. We provide tips on how to be a better caregiver, and most importantly, where you can go for help. On Caregiver SOS on Air, we try to give you what you need to make that caregiving manageable and to provide you with the help that can make your life easier. I'm Ron Aaron. Carol Zernial and I are delighted to co-host this program, and we're thrilled you've joined us on the award-winning Caregiver SOS on Air podcast, available everywhere, brought to you by WellMed Charitable Foundation.
Hello, friend. Hello, friend. Really good to see you once again. Hello, friend. Hello, friend. Really good to see you once again.
We're so pleased you're staying with us right here on the award-winning Caregiver SOS on Air. We're talking with Jennifer Henius, a licensed clinical social worker, about redefining caregiver well-being, a whole health approach for the future of care. Our co-host, Carol Zernial, is with us. And Carol, as you listen to this, what are you hearing?
Well, Well, what I'm hearing is, this wonderful effort to do two really positive things. One is to connect caregivers to other caregivers, and the other is to connect them to stress. I mean, the yoga it's both exercise and stress management, and it's something that the whole mindfulness and probably. Jennifer, if you were going to talk to a skeptic who thinks that yoga equals some new age weird something where they're going to be doing terrible poses that they can't, even do, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would just tell them that they can just take a seat, close their eyes if that's comfortable to them, and just notice their breath. And that is honestly enough. We're not teaching folks to do headstands in our classes, right? But that's sitting in your chair, taking a few minutes, whether that's for gentle stretching or just to take a pause and observe your breath is no less of a yoga, right? And so yoga is really, it's not just a physical practice. They call it the asana, the physical practice of yoga. It's really a lifestyle as well. And it goes well beyond the physical aspects. And you're right, we do put an emphasis on the body, mind, and spirit at Caregiver Whole Health, but we do that in a lot of different ways. And one of the ways that we focus in on that is trying to educate caregivers about what well-being really is, and how the experience of caregiving impacts your well-being, and talking about how well-being is really multidimensional and extends far beyond caregiver burnout, which a lot of the conversations, tend to focus on the emotional exhaustion and the toll of, compassion fatigue and how that impacts your mental health. But it's also impacts your physical health. It might impact your employment. It might impact your housing. Maybe you're caring for someone who's in your home. Maybe you're financially strapped and have to downsize your home to help provide outside assistance to someone that you care for. So it's really a balance of things that are happening with your external life conditions, but also your lived experience and how, how you perceive your own satisfaction with life, what gives you purpose and meaning and connection. And what tends to happen with caregiving is that we lose sight of ourselves and we lose sight of all those other things that are so important in helping us, have a good, strong sense of personal well-being. And so we try to do some education around that, and how caregivers through a whole health approach can really start to focus in on the things that are most important to them, and then use that as a way to help build out goals that they can achieve, whether that's goals related to health, like maybe they want to get back to health. They've been putting themselves on the back burner, but they want to get, improved physical health for some reason. Maybe they want to walk their grandchild down, the aisle or whatever it might be. And so we try to work with caregivers to try to help them uncover the things that matter most to them.
And what will folks find if they go to your website for Caregiver Whole Health? I visited it, and it's very impressive. There's a lot of avenues you can walk down. So tell listeners what they'll find there.
Sure. Well, they'll hear a little bit about our services. They'll find out about our on-demand platform and the kinds of classes that we offer through that platform. We also have on-demand workshops or webinars. So we have a Yoga to Cultivate Resilience for Everyday Life that people can access there. We also run a peer caregiver support group. It's a private Facebook group. But that is a place where caregivers can find support and connection, not to focus necessarily on their caregiving role or the tasks that they're managing, but to focus on how they can pay more attention to their own well-being and their own wellness, and get support from other caregivers who are trying really hard to take care of themselves as well, and get that support from one another, which is really so important. And then we offer a lot of services through nonprofits and employers, just trying to provide education about caregiving in the workplace, and trying to help employers, better support their caregiving workforce.
How did your husband deal with the issues that you faced and your mother faced and juggling family as well? How did he get through that?
Well, he found it pretty ironic, but he definitely got through it and he stepped right into the role of being caregiver. He was very supportive. He took a lot of time off from work, but it was also really stressful. I mean, he's still caregiving. He's got to take me to doctor appointments this week, and so it's a lot for a person to take on. But I think he's done a great job. But he also understands, the role of a caregiver, and he's able to say, I just need a break, or, do you think you could get a ride for this, or whatever it might be. So he can communicate his needs, which is super important because a lot has been on his shoulders, from preparing meals to being transportation to making sure that I really understand what's happening from a medical perspective, because I have relied on him to help translate some of this with my memory not at the best, especially in the early months. So yeah, I've been fortunate to have that level of support, but he's missed a lot of work because of it too.
Well, I love that he feels comfortable saying, yeah, can you get a ride? A lot of caregivers won't make that request, and that's just huge, even if it's like one ride
Yeah.
or one picking up one meal. Just that one little break can make the caregiver feel like they got a bonus
Sure.
day or a bonus hour.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, we don't speak up for ourselves enough. Yeah,
And you get kudos too for saying, yes, I'll go find a ride.
yeah.
As you look at your own recovery, you mentioned that you did struggle with some cognitive shortcomings.
Mhm.
As that has all come back to you, are you providing therapy for clients? Are you doing talk therapy?
No, I'm not. I'm not right now. I'm providing some coaching, some caregiver whole health coaching. But no, I'm not providing any therapy really at this time.
And when you say coaching, what is it you're doing to help folks?
Well, so we have adopted a model from the Veterans Affairs model, the whole health coaching model. They offer a health and wellness coaching. And so we have developed our own circle of health, if you will, circle of health and wellness for caregivers that identifies areas that impact their life that they might want to consider. We mentioned a lot of them here already through our earlier discussion, but we just try to help the caregiver uncover the things that really matter most to them. So that involves really listening to caregivers and helping them find the things that matter most to them, whatever that might be, their relationships, their work, how they take care of their own needs, and then support them in identifying smart goals around that, working with them to achieve those goals so that their own needs and their values, the things that they want to accomplish, aren't just set to the side, but try to figure out how we can help them meet those needs alongside caregiving, not just for a more sustainable caregiving approach, but ultimately for their own health and longevity.
And if folks want to find your website, how do they do that?
They can check us out at www.yoga for caregivers. That's with the number 4.
Yoga
Dot net.
for Caregivers. And your website is free to go to, but there is a charge for some of your services.
Yes, for our on-demand platform, it's about $15 a month to access that. So yeah.
Yeah, but I did see the little 5-minute exercise I was doing right before the show, trying to just calm down with all my computer problems. But yeah, thank you for letting me practice a few things on your website.
Now, before we let you go, we got about 30 seconds. As you think about what you have learned about yourself through all of this, where do you come out? How is Jennifer?
Oh wow. Well, I think I've come out definitely stronger on the other side of this. It's been a really humbling experience as well, because when you're dealing with something like a TBI or even a mild cognitive impairment or dementia, it may not be obvious, right? These are sort of the invisible wounds or invisible illnesses
Right.
that people deal with. And so it's been a really humbling experience, I would say. Yeah.
Stop you right there, Jennifer. We got to say goodbye. Appreciate you coming on, Carol Zernial, Jennifer Henius. I'm Ron Aaron. Thanks for joining us on Caregiver SOS On Air.
The executive producer for Caregiver SOS On Air is Daniel Calderon. The producer is Sharice Pendleton. And the associate producer is Catherine Oglesby. We'll see you next week on Caregiver SOS On Air.
You've been listening to Caregiver SOS On Air, an exclusive presentation of the WellMed Charitable Foundation. We welcome emails with suggestions and comments on this program at radio@wellmed.net. Join co-hosts Carol Zernial and Ron Aaron next week for more on caregiving, improving the health and well-being of caregivers and their care recipients everywhere. For more on caregiving and podcasts of our programs, visit caregiversos.org.